Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you to the town of Scituate. My name is John Danahy. I'm a selectman here, the vice chair. I'd like to welcome Your Excellency Charlie Baker, the Governor of the Commonwealth, as well as Karyn Polito, the gracious Lieutenant Governor. Thank you and welcome. This time we have sun and we don't have 20 feet of snowbanks, I can tell you that. I'll be very brief. I want to thank the Governor and the Legislature, Jim Cantwell, for the efforts in creating the Dam and Seawall Repair and Removal Fund, and for the Commonwealth to recognize the coastal infrastructure as a real concern, certainly to our town. And it's also a shared responsibility, not just locally, but also from the state perspective. This town has a comprehensive foreshore protection program. We're very proud of it. It's only been started in the past 5 years, and through the efforts of the administration and coming down here in an event like this and sharing information that we're anticipating, we're only thankful for doing just that, to allow the people at the local level to try to fix things the right way going forward. I want to commend the Baker administration on behalf of the town and myself for recognizing that partnerships such as this with cities and towns, it's a win-win situation for all of us. And I want to say thank you very much. I'd like to turn it over, though, to the Secretary, Scott Beaton, to host and go forward. Thank you and welcome. Welcome to Scituate.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for being here with us today on what is a beautiful day, a lot nicer than the last time myself, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Governor were here together. Some of you may remember...
Yeah, we've been here a bunch of times since then.
We've been there individually since then, but the last time all three of us have been here was on the heels of what was probably the worst winter, certainly in my lifetime, but I think everyone here. And that moment in time, I think, rings in our heads as we look at the policies and recognize some of the challenges that we face in this time of dealing with a changing climate. And we saw firsthand last winter how devastating the effects of this changing climate could be. And we saw that right here. We took a walk down to Lighthouse Point. We went to Oceanside Drive. We went down to Marshfield, and we saw firsthand the effects of the harsh winter storms that we saw. And the Governor and Lieutenant Governor made a commitment when we were here. They said, we are going to be here to help. And that recognition of this changing climate and putting action to words where we are providing resources to work with our local communities to address the critical infrastructure that is necessary to deal with this changing climate. And the situation doesn't exist only on the coast. And you will see that in a number of the awards that are awarded here today. And there are hundreds of dams throughout the Commonwealth and seawalls, natural structures, physical hard structures that exist all throughout the Commonwealth. And we have a lot more work to do. Before I introduce the Governor to you all, I just wanted to thank a few individuals that are here. The legislative delegation from actually all over the state. We have Rep. Howitt right here over in the corner, representing Swansea. And a couple of folks that are familiar to everyone down here. We already heard intro to Rep. Cantwell, my good former colleague from the area.
Sat right across the way.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And of course, Senator Hedlund from nearby as well. We have a tremendous delegation representative of a number of the communities that are here today, and I just wanted to thank them for being with us today. And one final set of thank yous to everyone who makes this all possible. The Dam and Seawall program has been a tremendous success over the past few years, and that is due to the great work. We have one individual in particular who is in charge of that program, Mr. John Clarkson in the back here. And John's not only in charge of facilitating the identification of the projects and the funds, in the expenditure of these funds, but also the intricate coordination that must exist in addressing these series of issues that we need to address in order to tackle the issues associated with seawalls and dams. And that's in our Office of Dam Safety at DCR, our Office of Waterways, Division of Ecological Restoration in the Department of Fish and Game, and Coastal Zone Management in our office at EEA. That collaborative approach, working with the municipalities, with the support of the governor and lieutenant governor, and the great individuals like John are what make these events like this here today possible, and ultimately the work that we're hoping to get done. So on that, I have talked long enough because none of you came here to listen to me today. You came here to see the two individuals to my right, and now it is my great pleasure to introduce to all of you a great supporter of not only this area, but coastal areas and inland areas throughout the Commonwealth, your Governor, Charlie Baker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, and I want to thank you all for coming here, and Mayor Dumas, it's always good to see you. I hope you are well, and congratulations on your award. I'm going to be very brief. I would just like to say that the storms of last winter, which began about 20 days after we took office, were one of the most unrelenting and consistently brutal events I've ever been involved in. And I actually went from here, Representative, down to Nantucket to take a look at what had happened down there, where they had literally been without power and where a huge piece of the waterfront had been lost, and much of the downtown had been completely underwater for several days at that point in time. And we made a commitment to a lot of folks that we would work very hard with them to do what we could collaboratively to bring back a number of lost infrastructure associated with those storms. And in addition to the $10 million and the projects we're talking about today, in particular the stuff here in Scituate and along the coast, we also have been working quite collaboratively with local officials and with federal officials at FEMA to make sure we get reimbursed to the full extent that we can under the terms of our agreement with the federal government. And while that is a long, slow road, it's our expectation that we'll generate millions and millions of dollars in reimbursements from the federal government for emergency damage that was done as a result of those storms to the Commonwealth and to the cities and towns. And I think the one thing it's important for me to say today is that Karyn Polito and I are both former members of our boards of selectmen in Swampscott and in Shrewsbury. And we come at all of these state and local issues with an eye toward local government. And we're not big believers in what I would call thou shalt. We're much bigger believers in collaborative and working approaches to solving problems with our cities and towns. And this particular program is as good an example of that as any you're going to find. And I'm pleased to be here today to be part of this announcement. But the thing I think we should all keep in mind here is that this type of infrastructure is going to continue to be a priority and a highly important effort for us going forward, because there's a lot more work to be done with respect to this. And as we continue to deal with rising sea levels and all the other issues that come with it, we fully expect we're going to need to be deeply involved with our colleagues in local government to not just fix what people have that breaks, but also to make sure we do the kinds of things we need to do to adapt to that changing environment. Thank you very much. There's actually a right one and a left one. I know, believe it or not.
Thank you very much, Governor. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce another great partner, certainly with our municipalities, leading the charge with the Community Compact Partnership throughout the Commonwealth. If you are not a member and the local officials here, I'm sure Lieutenant Governor will be encouraging you to do so soon, but someone who is certainly there on the front lines working very closely with our municipalities, Lieutenant Governor Karyn Polito.
So good afternoon, and thank you very much for coming. What I love about this program is it's not just all about seawalls, it's seawalls and dams. So it brings some of you from the inner part of the state to a coastal community that is quite beautiful, but maybe one of the next announcements will be at a dam so that we can take you into the other parts of the state, which is really what's great about this. But I want to thank you very much. I'm from Central Mass, so I get that. But I want to say thank you very much to what you do each and every day at the municipal level. And the reason the governor and I are here and the secretary is just to say thank you, but also just to let you know that you're not going this route alone, that it's truly a partnership, and we want to make sure that you have all the resources that you need to be a successful community. And in this instance, where we're talking about seawalls and dams, this is infrastructure that is, quite involved and quite costly to repair or replace or take down. And it's not something that you simply can do alone within the budgets that you have. So this program, it's something that works. And for us to come here and say it's a program that works, that we want to keep it going and make sure that it continues to be available to all of you. Let me just put a plug in for two of the programs that I'm spearheading for our administration. The first is the Community Compact Program, and I want to thank the Scituate for signing the 34th Community Compact today. And the best practices that they are looking to achieve are involving more technology to better communicate to its residents, especially when there are emergency circumstances that come up, like we saw this winter, and being able to get that word out to the residents here is very important. And then a whole Complete Streets program to have more passable, accessible sidewalks and walkways that they want as part of the roadway infrastructure program that's underway here to be able to complete the sidewalks as well. So just gives you an example of how we can work together through the Community Compact program to do even more for your municipality. The other is the Seaport Council, and we have sort of revised the focus of the Seaport Council, which is available to the 78 coastal communities, but it is there to help enhance and leverage the coastal assets in an economic way, so that if you can take a pier or a boardwalk and use that to enhance economic activity in your downtown or coastal area, that's something we want to leverage and do with you. So there's two other opportunities for you to engage in. I know you're doing an awful lot on your end, and we just want to be there to help you on our end. Want to say also thank you to the secretary. I mean, he gets really excited about these programs, and we could just send it in the mail and say here you go. But we really think it's important to have events like this so you can learn from each other, figure out how another community is approaching an issue, and then use that as a best practice or a good example of how to do things even on a broader scale. So we have $10 million to award today to 9 communities. So congratulations for doing your part. And we're very happy to just recognize your achievement today. And again, look forward to continuing to work with all of you. So we have the first one. Would you like to grant the first one?
If you'd like, Lieutenant Governor.
Sure, we'll share. There you go.
All right. Okay. The first award goes to the City of Gloucester. Are there any representatives from the City of Gloucester with us? Why don't you come on up? The City of Gloucester project details are as follows. The award totals $869,000 for the reconstruction of the Blenman Canal. Yes. The canal provides critical navigational access to the Amasquam River. The stone bulkhead along the canal provides protection to the drawbridge that spans over the canal, which is particularly important to the first responders in the event of an emergency. This structure also provides shoreline stabilization. So you don't want me in the picture. I think we want these two in the picture more than anything.
By the way, I know exactly where that is, and that is one beautiful spot.
Is it? Nice.
You want to be in it. Congratulations.
I'll be in it too.
Yes.
But they're the
Say hello to the mayor.
The next award is to the community of Hull, and I'd like Senator Hedlund, and I know Bob Sullivan from Rep. Bradley's office is also here, and anyone from Hull to please come forward. Before asking you to come forward. You've come forward, but I just wanted to say thank you to Senator Hedlund. He and Representative Cantwell and others were very instrumental in passing the legislation that could reform and bring this program forward. And I just want to thank him. I had the opportunity to work with Senator Hedlund and with Representative Cantwell in the legislature. You have good representatives there that really care about this area, because we'll be sitting, as the Secretary knows, when he served in the House of Representatives, you'll sit there for hours, and I could hear from these guys often about the issues on South Shore and how important they are, and you always had strong advocacy here with the representatives and certainly with the Senator. Senator Hedlund.
Great. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor and Governor, Secretary, for coming down. And I think this is the second time we've been in this building for these grant awards. We did one in Plymouth, and this is the easy part of the job when you hand out the money, I guess. The legislative work is the hard part, and for years we had the Waterways Division represented. I know Kevin Mooney is here, the coordinated dam and seawall funding projects within EOEA, and we had severe, obviously, funding issues, and some years back got together with Representative Hines, who once represented the town of Scituate before Representative Cantwell took that seat, and we funded a very comprehensive seawall assessment and survey for the state to kind of come up with an idea of what the actual needs were, and that was one of the things that we used as ammunition to argue for this, for the legislation that led to the grant program. And what's interesting about it is, what's the old adage about watching sausage and legislation made? This was the last bill, 2 legislative sessions ago, the last bill to get through the legislative process and make it to the governor's desk for his signature. So there was a lot of give and take and a lot of 11th hour maneuvering. We were shuttling back and forth between the House chamber and the Senate chamber. We got a lot of great work. I know Gloucester was the first recipient, but your state Senator Bruce Tarr was instrumental in some of the negotiations. And we had a little bit of pushback from the Central Mass guys who wanted to see the bulk of this money go for dams. But the argument I made was, united we stand, divided we fall. And we finally reached a compromise, and we're able to get this through. So the fruits of our labor evident today, and I'm honored that Hull has done its due diligence to see that Crescent Beach will receive the necessary shoreline protection that it needs. And by the way, some of the other communities that were recipients in the 2 previous years, those were essential projects. So we thank EOEA. You guys changed the acronym again, didn't you? I'm sorry. The governor and I were joking about this earlier, about the acronym change, but we thank Environmental Affairs for...
You can tell how old somebody is, which acronym they use.
I know. Where's the MDC people? But anyway, thank you for all being here, and great work on behalf of my town officials from Hull. I don't think we even announced the amount.
Oh, yeah.
So the amount of your award is $3 million.
Hoorah! Thank you. We'll be back next year for the revetment as well, but you guys are saving a lot of lives, so thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, so obviously the next award here in the town of Scituate, I'd like Representative Cantwell to present. Before presenting, I do want to say what a pleasure it is to be here in Scituate on such a balmy, beautiful day. But after signing the compact at Town Hall, I was able to take a tour with the leadership here of both the wind turbine and the solar facility on the capped landfill. And what an amazing project both of those are individually, but together that they represent the coverage of all of the municipal costs for energy. I mean, that is amazing right here. What a great effort. Congratulations, Scituate. And on top of that, you have a municipal golf course, and you've got a beautiful facility like this. So you're doing a lot of great things, and for you to sign up for the compact today just shows that you're never quite satisfied and comfortable with where you are, and always looking to do even more. So congratulations on a lot of on a lot of fronts. You're doing all the right things. Thank you. And with that, I'd like Representative Cantwell to come forward. I had the opportunity to serve, but also had the opportunity to spend some time with him this winter. And we went from Scituate to Marshfield, and I will never forget standing right here where the break was in this wall, where the boulders now have been pushed forward to replace that, which Scituate paid for on its own. But then in Marshfield, like really frozen in time from the elements that came forward through that storm. I mean, you're vulnerable in the sense that you just don't know what these storms are going to do, so which is the reason why we're trying to protect dams and seawalls. But just an amazing day. It will forever be imprinted on our minds how destructive Mother Nature can be, but how important it is to be strong and ready for it when it comes. So with that, I want to thank Representative Cantwell for being such a strong advocate, enthusiastic, and really passionate about representing and serving all of you. So with that.
And Governor, Madam Lieutenant Governor, I want to thank you so much for your presence, and first of all, to put in a great word. What a great job in picking Matt Beaton, by the way. He's just been a treasure. We appreciate your friendship, Matt, from our time at the House, but the tremendous work that you do. And Governor, one thing to know, the Lieutenant Governor...
Doesn't need any more of that. But
it's due, it's due. But when we look out, by the way, this project here, most of this was done by volunteer labor, this project, but you mentioned the Seaport. The Seaport Authority helped with some funding to make this project come alive, and we want to thank you for continuing and making an emphasis on economic development, because it is so well needed. We're so proud here today, and I'm going to have all the Scituate officials come up in just one moment for the photo, but so proud to tell the story about the need for coastal infrastructure improvements and funding. Governor, Lieutenant Governor, you saw it firsthand when you came down, but we do have a triple threat. We know that we have rising sea levels. People are debating to what level, but we know it's happening. We know that we're having more frequent storms. I've been a state rep for 7 years, and it's not my fault, but we've had 5 major storms in those 7 years. But third, the reason why we're here is we have old, crumbling infrastructure, and the commitment that you brought, Governor and Lieutenant Governor, to making sure that we keep investing in them is so warranted. Now, I do have one side story I mentioned to the Governor I wanted to raise, because your commitment to infrastructure knows no bounds. Because when you were talking about going to, where were you going down to Florida or some area when they were talking about Wi-Fi at state houses? You want to tell the story, or can I tell it? Why don't you come tell it?
So, when we moved into the State House to take office back in January, we were told that we couldn't use our laptops, couldn't use the internet on our laptops unless we had them plugged into the docking stations they were assigned to, because there was no Wi-Fi in the State House. And we all looked around at this beautiful building that's been wonderfully maintained and gloriously rehabilitated and renovated, and Karen and I were like, you know, the campaign office that we worked out of was probably condemned about 5 minutes after we left. And that building had Wi-Fi. I mean, what is it with that? So when I went to my first, and I got told it was complicated, a lot of security, you know, divide by 4 or whatever. So when I went to my first NGA meeting, National Governors Association meeting in February in Washington, I just walked around to everybody and I said, hey, Charlie Baker, Governor of Massachusetts, do you guys have Wi-Fi? And I asked everybody, and they all had Wi-Fi. You know, Florida, Missouri, Alabama, Arkansas, Montana, Colorado, didn't matter, they all had Wi-Fi, and my favorite one was one gentleman from the South kind of looked at me and said, well, yeah, sure, we got Wi-Fi. I said, you don't? And I said, no, actually we don't, divide by 4, carry the 3, whatever. And he goes, aren't you right down the street from MIT? And so I asked some of the folks in the legislature about it, and they said, well, we just steal it from Suffolk. Because a lot of the folks who work in the legislature either went to Suffolk or are going to Suffolk, and a lot of the people who work in the legislature are going to Suffolk or went to Suffolk, and in fact 2 of our cabinet secretaries did. So when I had a chance to speak at Suffolk's commencement address this year, 10,000 people, faculty, family, students, administrators, and all the rest, the first thing I did when I got up was I said, I want to thank Suffolk University for 10 years of free Wi-Fi to the Commonwealth of Mass. True story. And we now have Wi-Fi in the State House, by the way.
So, and part of that true story is when you were speaking to 400 executives telling that story, how there was no Wi-Fi, and I stood up and said, you know, Governor, not to disagree, but we do have Wi-Fi, we just steal it from Suffolk, and that was how it went. But thank you. And showing for infrastructure.
I didn't know if you wanted to be outed on that.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun story. So but for your first days in office, for you coming down here, and you remember those conference calls, and we were so panicked about the disaster, but you making a priority to make it here and then to Nantucket, and Karyn, for you coming to Marshfield, it gave people hope, made people know that the government cared, and now here we are today following through on the good work of all. So at this time, it's my pleasure. I want to call up folks from the town of Scituate. I know for thank yous, we have John Dennehy from the Board of Selectmen, Mara Curran, Marty O'Toole, we have Nancy Durfee, who runs, what a great choice for you guys for having a coastal affairs advisory, coastal affairs person. For other folks, Al Bangert, Kevin Cafferty, Sean McCarthy. We want to have all these folks come up. And there is one jewel, by the way, because Bob Hedlund did mention how this was difficult legislation. Bob, I thank you for your partnership. It's been a bipartisan effort. It was true. This bill was hard to get through, and we had to wait until one senator had stepped aside so we could sneak the bill through, if you recall, and make sure that it happened. The last bill. Yeah, that it did. But we have here for the town of Scituate, for Oceanside Drive on 11th Ave, $3 million that's being awarded. Want to make sure, please, if the assembled folks will come on up. You guys want to be in the middle?
Congratulations. Thank you.
Bob, want you guys hold right here?
You guys come on.
David Ball, come on up. Nancy, come on up. Everyone come on up.
If you can get everybody. Nancy, come on up.
I like going to the back.
That's a good way. Dave, come on. Come on.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Team here. Thank you. Thank you very much. Congratulations again.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you very much.
Okay, the next community receiving an award is the town of Canton. Any individuals here? Great. Come on up. Would you like to say a few words about what the project is all about? Change the format a little?
Yes,
Yes, right to the microphone.
we're restoring a levee in the town of Canton, and it also involves a project adjacent to the town of Canton that will provide economic development with the town in combination with the two projects. So we're looking forward to the restoration of the levee, and also the project that's used to be the Plymouth Rubber Company site, and it's going to be restored for housing and commercial development also. So hopefully the two projects together will bring a lot more to the town in this section of town in Canton.
Great.
So it's
The total amount of the award is $1 million, $115,000 of which is in the form of a grant, $885,000 in the form of a low-interest loan. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So the next one is actually a compact community, and that is the City of Attleboro. And Mayor Dumas, please come forward. I want to thank the mayor. He was part of the working group that we formed shortly after taking office to help identify some of the best practices and opportunities that municipal officials want to work toward. And I want to thank you for that effort, and thank you for signing Attleboro up so early on in the process. And I want to thank you also for coming to accept this award for a dam that is in your community that maybe you can speak to.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor and Governor, Mr. Secretary. I'm happy to be here with my city planner, Gary Region, today as we work on this public-private partnership with the Dodgeville Dam in Attleboro. It's a high-hazard dam that it really is in need of repair. It's been on the list for quite some time, and the City of Attleboro is partnering together with a local establishment and a historic mill that dates back to 1814 in the City of Attleboro. And this also provides the opportunity not only for the safety of Dodgeville Pond upward into the 10-mile stream that leads right into downtown Attleboro, also for recreational opportunities, but also very important to the city, an opportunity for hydropower that the city can end up partnering and buy those credits from this new refurbished dam. So thank you very, very much for this opportunity, and we're very, very excited.
So the award is for $125,500 to the Dodgeville Pond Dam. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Secretary, thank you, sir.
Great. Welcome. Great job. Would you like to do Gloucester? No, sure. Sure. You want to do Gloucester? No, sure.
Okay, City of Gloucester folks, come on back up. The next award again goes to the City of Gloucester, and an award in the amount of $175,000 for design and permitting. The Haskell Pond Dam, which is part of the city's water supply network. This award will provide funding for the design work and permitting necessary to refurbish the structure to ensure compliance with state law and provide construction documents to the city in anticipation of the reconstruction work to be performed. Congratulations once again to the City of Gloucester.
Still say that.
I'd like to invite you guys up sometime. You know, we did the Babson Dam under this program as well. And it was critical success.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know Gloucester's had success under the Seaport Council. Former Mayor Carolyn Kirk is our Assistant Secretary for Housing and Economic Development and has done a great job working with all of us on economic development, community development, and certainly understands the coastal issues that the 78 communities in our Commonwealth face. I am really excited about this next award, given that it's a strong Mass community of Millbury. Some of our Millbury friends, please come here. And I'm really happy that the Central Mass delegation worked hard to have this a balanced program to make sure that we didn't leave our dams behind in the funding of these projects. This award is a $500,000 grant and a $500,000 low-interest loan for design, permitting, and reconstruction of the Ramshorn Pond Dam. So we want to congratulate you and thank you very much. It's a $1 million grant. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the town of Millbury, I want to thank the Governor's Office, Secretary Matt Beaton, the Dam Repair Program, specifically the Program Administrator, John Clarkson, for this award. As it turns out, for the town, it's the third time's a charm. We pursued this since our Ramshorn Dam has been downgraded to poor condition. And this generous award provides our community with needed financial support for this project. Across America, public works professionals are increasingly focused on resiliency to face extreme weather conditions, as we've recently witnessed in South Carolina. We're fortunate here in Massachusetts that such a program exists, and more importantly, continues to get funded to help communities address the growing need to repair dams that otherwise would pose a risk to public safety. The town of Millbury would also like to recognize the support of Senator Mike Moore, Representative Frost, and the Ramshorn Pond Association. Thank you so much.
So Scituate has a lot of beautiful amenities, one thing they don't have is easy access to the highway. So I'm really grateful for those that came far to be here today to celebrate these awards. The town of Swansea is represented by Stephen Howitt, who's doing a great job in the legislature, obviously supports this program, but is also, a very strong advocate and always reminding us of the needs for communities in the South Coast area. I'd like the representative to come forward and invite the local officials from Swansea to join him, and you may present the award to the community.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Thank you, Governor, and my former colleague or present colleague, depending on how you look at it, Matt Beaton. First and foremost, Speaker Pro Tem Pat Haddad sends her regrets that she had something in the district that needed her attention. So otherwise she would have been here. I have John McAuliffe, who's the new town administrator for the town of Swansea. Bob Marquis, who is the I guess you're the chairman of the Board of Selectmen.
Vice Chairman.
Vice Chairman, okay. And Chris Carrero, a new member of the Board of Selectmen. And we're so proud to receive this. As a former selectman myself, I can vouch for the Baker Polito administration focusing on towns and cities. It's something that has been amiss over the last few years, and with this administration, it is at the top of their agenda. So for me, representing 4 cities and 4 towns down on the South Coast, it is a real pleasure to work with them and to have that focus on the communities. But I'm going to let, I guess, John read this and give him the honor.
Thank you, Representative. This is a great project. Selectman Marquis is our selectman historian that can probably speak to the details better than I. But this is part of a system that was actually part of the cooling water for a power plant. And it is quite an idyllic setting in the heart of Swansea Village. And it's something the community really identifies as part of Swansea. So we feel this is very special. These are very expensive and complex projects, as was mentioned. And without the support of the Governor's Office, Lieutenant Governor, and Secretary Beaton, these projects are very difficult to get off the ground. So we're profoundly grateful. It's an exciting project. It's literally 50 yards from the town hall, I think. So we're very excited, and we want to thank you very much. Thank you to the administration. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Governor. Can you fall off your motocross bike?
Thank you.
Secretary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Boylston, born and raised,
There
right?
you go.
That's cool. Good for you.
So that was a $450,000 award, and we have 2 awards left. I'd like to call upon Senator Hedlund to present the next award to the town of Walpole, if the local officials could come from Walpole.
That fly that's been buzzing around up here, by the way, it's not a seawall fly, it's a dam fly. And this is an honor for me to annex another town. Actually, no. Certificate of award, Town of Weymouth, $200,000.
You wish.
Oh, I'm sorry, Walpole. I'm sorry, Walpole. We'll be here next year for Weymouth. We're getting close, right, Kevin? This is Town of Walpole, Turn-Upon Dam, $200,000, and I look forward to hearing the particulars of the Turn-Upon Dam.
Thank you, sir.
And on behalf of Senator Timilty, it's my honor to be here.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Town Administrator Jim Johnson from Walpole. I'd like to thank the Baker administration for this generous grant here. We really appreciate it. We actually went forward and bid this project out. We had $350,000 appropriated for it, and we were unable to go forward with it because the bids came in much higher than expected. So this is a project that's ready to go. We're going to hit the ground running right away. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
Ready, huh?
Yeah, you got it. We have Chairman Cliff Snuffer here, Town Engineer Maggie Walker, DPW Director Bob O'Brien, and Board of Selectmen member Jim Stanton. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
James? Free buddy. Good. Bay State League.
You want to hold it up?
Oh, sure. Walpole, by the way, is a heck of a football team.
Thanks again.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good to see you.
There you go, Bob. All right, so the East meets the West in this final award. I'd like to call upon Representative Cantwell to extend this award to the City of Westfield. We have a dear friend out there, Senator John Hammond, who couldn't be here today, but certainly wanted to thank him for his support of this program and wanted you to invite the local officials up and present this award to the City of Westfield.
Great, thanks so much. And we do want to note for Don Humison, who has just been a leader of the Aviation Caucus, and I know he wanted to be here, but wanted to extend his best wishes for folks coming forward. And before we do the presentation, I did want to mention also, Governor, because I left out, you and I were smiling when they mentioned Frank Hines, because I do want everyone, for folks who didn't know, Frank Hines really was, he was the brainchild behind getting a lot of this work done, and working with Kevin Mooney here, when they did do, Bob mentioned it, doing all that work to detail the problems. It's my pleasure to be able to follow him and follow through on that great work, and to work with John Clarkson from your office, who has been so good in all this as well. So on behalf of the Commonwealth, it's my great honor to be here to do the certificate of award to the City of Westfield for the Winchell Reservoir Dam Removal Project, $631,000. I want to call forward folks who can be able to explain in detail what this will be doing.
Sure, thank
Please.
you. I'm David Billups, the Director of Public Works, and for the record, I want to say I'm 5'11". There's way too many tall people up here. So I told Fran Kane's our Deputy Superintendent of Water, who really heads up all these projects. I said, we come up there, I'm going to stand next to the Lieutenant Governor. So, backing up a few years, in 2011, Westfield had 3 natural disasters in a period of 5 months. We had a tornado, which many of you may remember, that ravaged Springfield, but it actually started in Westfield. It started right over the top of our wastewater treatment plant, if you can imagine. Did a tremendous amount of damage. A few months later, Hurricane Irene caused our spillway to collapse for our main reservoir, which is right upstream of the dam we're receiving the grant for today. And then in October, I know people out here don't want to hear about snowstorms, but we had a snowstorm when the leaves hadn't come off the trees yet, and the city was out without power for about a week. But through all that, everybody still had water, everybody had all the public utilities, because we're used to it out there, we had so many generators running. So the reason we applied for this grant is because, again, this is directly downstream. This reservoir is an inactive reservoir from 1899. The dam's in disrepair. It's actually a significant hazard, which means if the dam goes, it's going to cause loss of life. So we're restoring the ecosystem to where it was over 100 years ago, and we'd like to thank the Baker administration for supporting us in this. Thank you.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well done.
And on that note, that is all of the awards, and I would just like to again thank all of you for being here, thank all of you for your work on the local level, thank all the folks involved throughout EEA agencies, and I'd like to give a special thank you to the Governor and Lieutenant Governor for being here with us today. Thank you all very much.
With that, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.